So my adventures with Superman so far has been very promising, at least to me, and I think a season 2 will definitely be worth tuning into. I think what I enjoyed the most was seeing Superman fight trial after trial and having to overcome all of these obstacles, including Lois. Let's talk about it. So one thing about me is I love to see development, I love to see growth, and I love to see characters go through trials and tribulations and all sorts of obstacles. And I tend to like that because one, we all tend to go through some sort of trial or obstacle in life, so it's normal. And two, I personally feel like it helps you get more invested with the character, makes you feel more, and all sorts of things. 9 times out of 10, these things that you go through, they're gonna help shape you as a character. And I think Clark did a really good job handling everything that was thrown his way. Now, I'll be honest, the reason why I was intrigued by my adventures with Superman is because I'm not really used to seeing Superman on a vulnerable and intimate level, and I think that this series provided that. Maybe I wasn't reading the right things, maybe I wasn't watching the right stuff, but I'm always used to seeing adult Superman and seeing him as a strong, quiet, and reserved individual. While Lois, at least in this, she seems to have a lot more passionate, a lot more louder, and a lot more outgoing personality compared to Clark. And I'm not sure if that's always how their dynamic works out or tends to be, but it's definitely a very interesting relationship. But I will say, Lois did have like 2 moments where she annoyed me, and I felt like she was being way too extra and doing the most. The first moment, I felt like Lois was being way too reckless. Like, I get that she's a news reporter and all of this, and she's trying to pursue journalism or whatever, but handcuffing yourself to Superman or any hero is literally a dangerous thing to do. And I felt like she was being way too reckless with her life just to get a story. She could have got hurt, other people could have got hurt. A lot of things could have went bad with that. Luckily it didn't, but that still kind of annoyed me. And maybe this isn't fair to compare the two, but I definitely liked Iris's approach compared to Lois. Like, I know Lois is a lot younger, but I definitely feel like while Iris was still kind of endangering herself, posting about the Flash and all of these things, Iris definitely wasn't as drastic to handcuff herself to the Flash. I mean, she wouldn't have been able to do it anyway because he probably would have seen it coming. But we also got to keep in mind, one thing I want to point out is how Iris, she kind of wanted to give the city hope. So her intentions were different. While Lois, on the other hand, she just wanted to expose Superman's secrets. And I didn't like that. The other thing that kind of annoyed me about Lois was how angry she got over Superman's secret and how she basically backed him into a corner and forced Superman to reveal it to her earlier than he wanted to. Now, at one point, I will admit that Clark did want to tell her about his secret identity, but Lois kind of scared him away from that, so he just didn't do it. And he also had to worry about her exposing his secrets, and that's not something that he wanted. While he's trying to figure out himself, he's still trying to learn himself. So I feel like Clark shouldn't have been made to do something that he wasn't ready to do, basically. And I saw a lot of people saying, well, oh, her dad kept secrets from her, and that's kind of why she was harping about it a little bit. But even still, that's not her secret to force out of someone. And though you may have feelings for that individual, I don't think she was privy to that type of information because they weren't official. And I felt like that information would only endanger her because she's already reckless. And she went about it in the most toxic way possible. Like, she definitely should have had more of Jimmy's approach because Jimmy was like, he'll tell me when he's ready. I just didn't like how pushy she was at that moment, just for her to turn around and withhold a secret from Superman when she made a big deal about secrets from her dad and secrets from him. Like, I found that whole bit annoying. Anyway, enough about Lois. I kind of went on about her longer than I intended, but I also like how Clark is gradually gaining abilities and figuring out how to use them. And I just overall like how he's trying to figure out himself, figure out his background. And I like that because all of us are just trying to figure ourselves out at the end of the day. I mean, so I found that pretty relatable. And I don't think it's fun to give him all of his abilities at once anyway, because when he gains them one by one and figure out these things, it kind of feels like we're growing with them and we're figuring these things out with them. So it kind of feels like we're a part of his journey, which may be the intention. Then I also enjoyed the bit where Superman had to kind of learn that just because he has good intentions, people aren't going to perceive it that way. I mean, Clark definitely learned this as Superman from encountering Amanda and from encountering the General. And I gotta say, y'all might have seen it coming, but I didn't see the General and Lois's relationship coming. Like, I didn't know that that was Lois's dad. Maybe y'all pieced it together, but I didn't. I found that to be an interesting plot twist. and I'm curious to see how Clark will deal with that in the later seasons to come. There was another obstacle where the people, the public, they were genuinely starting to fear Superman, and there were people spreading fear, and there were people seeing certain things that made them fear him. It was interesting to see him go through that. Because if you think about it, we would fear something like that too. If we had a hero or we had someone just saving people, we would fear the unknown. And I think that's like a natural response that we have. And something like that, like having someone that is that strong and that unstoppable, would definitely cause me and a whole lot of other people anxiety. Then it doesn't help that we as the audience, as we're watching, we know that Lois found this orb that shows Superman supposedly being evil and going bad or whatever. So these people's fear, it's kind of justified, especially when we see the end of season 1 and it's this unknown person saying that everyone's gonna bow. There's a lot of destruction going on. So I'm very excited for season 2 or however many seasons of this will come. I'm gonna already call it and say that there's definitely gonna be a lot of tension between Lois and the General, maybe even a lot of tension between the General, Lois, and Superman if the General walks away from this alive. I personally don't think he will, because Amanda is already side-eyeing him and is trying to take power away from him and trying to make him look bad. But anyway, that's all I got on the first season. I look forward to seeing season 2 or however many seasons will come out. Superman clearly has a lot more he has to deal with. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think, how y'all feel. Thank you for tuning in. Sierra Nova is out.